everyone, welcome to the Movie Exception Show. My name is Fariba, and today let's talk about the Super Mario Bros. Movie because it's now out in theaters. I had just a chance to go see it earlier this weekend because I believe it was released a day earlier due to Easter weekend. And boy, am I glad I saw it so early because I have quite a lot of things to say about it. So let's get right down to it. So just like everyone else, right? Like I'm kind of that age group that is catered to the Super Mario Bros. World. I played when I was a kid. I believe the first one that I played was Super Mario 64 for the Nintendo 64 game console. Like the one where, you know, he is literally just like jumping around in this castle, completing these tasks. Yeah, I had a lot of fun playing that game when I was a kid. Like I think as of now, I still remember playing that game because I played it so many times as like a 5 or 6 year old. Completing like the same levels every time because again, I don't think at those times they had a thing called memory stick, or at least I didn't have a memory stick for the Nintendo 64, but I recall playing it. I had a lot of blast playing it just to get to the final star. Yeah, I mean, it's just something that is really ingrained in my mind. Again, I had a blast playing. Like I even think about, man, I would love to pull out my Nintendo 64 if I still have it anywhere, but I would like to pull it out, play, and just recollect some of the best memories I had playing that game because I remember having so much fun playing it. But of course, it's not the only game that I played when I was a kid. I also had one of the Super Mario games for the Game Boy. I can't remember which version it was, but I feel like it was the one where, like, you know, you have to complete so many tasks and you're going to like different parts of the world, like almost kind of like what we see with the, you know, the Super Mario Bros. Film, but it's the one where they go to different parts of the game. I think you can even change characters. I can't remember. I feel like I used to play Princess Peach sometimes in some of the levels, but yeah, it was a really fun Game Boy game that I used to play. Like I have to look and see if I still have it because I had like one Game Boy that broke and the second one that I had to buy or whatever. But yeah, I used to play that. It was a lot of fun. I'm gonna try and see if I can find it. But I think having seen the Super Mario Bros. Film, let me just say that I really just want to go back and find these games because like I had such a blast playing those as a kid. But let's get right down into it because like, oh man, I was just really super excited to see this film because again, just to go deep into the world that is Super Mario Bros. And the visuals of it, the animation, it made me so excited to kind of just remember back to kind of my days of playing the Super Mario games. So let's get right down into it. Now, with this film, right, so the story is basically focused on Mario, who ends up in Mushroom Kingdom, as we saw in the trailers, and he needs the help of Princess Peach to basically go and rescue his brother Luigi from Bowser. It was a pretty straightforward story, pretty straightforward concept, nothing too, you know, hard to kind of digest. But I know with this film, like I think as we all know for this film, there was going to be some places where they have to take a bit more of a creative risk, such as, you know, the accents of the characters, whether or not they're going to keep the Italian accent, the world building of it, the lore of it. There's a lot of questions going into play of how this film is going to kind of execute the aspects of the Super Mario Bros. Like, you know, overarching world and how they're going to integrate it into a, you know, 90-minute movie. And now, despite all the creative freedom that they had to take with this film, right, just to kind of use the game aspects and then convert it into sort of a film format, I think it presents itself pretty well. Like, once you get through the exposition of this film, you really dive deep into what is a Super Mario world. And you really kind of just like, the more you get into this world, the more you're just kind of thinking, wow, this is the Super Mario game that I recall. Like, you really get deep into sort of the memories of the Super Mario games. Especially, again, this is a film that is Easter egg galore. Like, the Easter eggs are everywhere. Like, there isn't a moment where you're not pinpointing about, like, things from the games kind of being integrated into the movie. Like, you'll find something in this movie, no matter left, right, up, and down. Like, you're gonna find something that you're gonna remember coming right from the games, and it'll make you feel really giddy about it. Like, I know for me, I was really giddy about some of the references that they were making throughout the film because, again, it comes straight from the games. And it's like, the more they dive into sort of like the classic references from the games, the more you kind of just get excited for this film because this is a film that is really trying to be faithful to the games that we know, whether it be the power-ups, the characters, maybe some story aspects that we do recall from the games itself. It really does itself so well to make sure that this is a movie that is all about Super Mario World. There isn't a moment where it doesn't miss that mark. Like, it is done so flawlessly. and so well. Like, again, this is a film that is catered towards fan service, Easter eggs, references. It's all there. Like, you will enjoy this film if you love the Super Mario games. Like, there isn't a moment where you do not feel as if this film really lacks any of those parts, because it's everywhere. It's there. You'll enjoy it. Like, I know I was just, again, I felt like I was feeling a lot of nostalgia just like looking at the snippets of some of the scenes that we were getting. It was just beautiful to see. Like, you're just kind of, again, very immersed into the Super Mario world, and they do so in a way that is very, very beautiful, very, very well done. And doing so again where the visuals and animations do it so in a way that they fit into kind of what we're seeing in this world. Like, again, the more you get to see sort of techniques of it, the technicalities of making this film, the more you just appreciate how they really try to be faithful to the content that we do see from the games, and they do such a really great job of doing that. And again, there are some things where they do make some changes with regards to kind of like the lore that we do know of Super Mario World, right? So for one thing, I love how they do change up some parts of Princess Peach's storyline, because for one thing, like, there is the aspect where we do look at the Super Mario games. She does sometimes play damsel in distress. There's no denying that. There has been games where, you know, she's the one who has to be saved. Although there are some other games where she actually has a bit more of a central figure. I believe the one I would recall is the Game Boy game I used to play, which again, I don't remember which game it was, but I know I used to like switch up players. I used to play Luigi at some points. I used to play Princess Peach at some points. I just know I used to do that. And I do think with some of the more recent games, they do change up the fact that she becomes a far more independent character. And I think in this one, right, they make her a far more independent character this time around. Like, she is someone who is ruling what is Mushroom Kingdom. The fact that she is a ruler, the fact that she's the one who is the one protecting them. It's a really big jump, but also I appreciate how they change up that storyline for her, because I feel like having her the damsel in distress would have been just too cliche. And this one, they really make her a far more stronger female character, where, you know, she is the one that everyone's relying upon aside from Mario. Now, Mario's still a big character. He is actually kind of like the chosen one in a sense, where, you know, he's the one who really needs to kind of come into the forefront and help Mushroom Kingdom come up against Bowser. But I think that with everything we do get the character, you know, characterization that we get from Princess Peach and Mario, like, it really works out that each of them have their own strengths and weaknesses, and doing so in a way that they use their strengths and weakness to work together to basically save Mushroom Kingdom. And I really love that refreshing take without having to go too much into the tropes and cliches that we've seen before in some of the previous Super Mario games. Let's also go down into some of the more casting things, because I know there was a lot of backlash going into this film about the casting announcement, because a lot of people were like, oh, this and that. I think the biggest one, of course, was Chris Pratt, where he was getting a lot of backlash about his accent, his ability to kind of voice Super Mario. And it just felt like it was just, you know, you were hearing him. It was just basically Chris Pratt sounding like Chris Pratt. And there was a lot of backlash about this for months. And I mean, I also was kind of part of like the criticism about the whole Super Mario world. But I think at the end of the day, everyone did such a great job in this film in terms of the voice work, regardless of that. I think even with Chris Pratt, for what he's given, it actually works out fine at the end of the day with him in his way of approaching Super Mario's voice in this film. Because again, like, I think that it does make sense that having the exaggerated Italian accent would have just been a bit too hard to kind of take in. I think that was probably a pretty good decision to go into just like, you know, changing some aspects of Super Mario. Like, we still get the catchphrases like Wahoo, Mamma Mia, it's me, Mario. But I think even with that, I think with the voice we do get from this film, like, everybody in this film does a really great job. Like, I think the ones that really stick out, of course, is Charlie Day's Luigi. He does a really great job, although I wish we could have seen more of Luigi, because I think because of the fact that he was a damsel in distress in this film rather than, you know, somebody else, it definitely takes away the fact that we didn't get to see more of the family, you know, brotherly aspect between Super Mario and Luigi, which I feel like could have been great to see more of, but who knows, maybe a sequel we'll see more of that. But also the ones I really want to call out are Jack Black as Bowser and Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. Like, you can tell just from watching this film how much these two guys were having so much fun voicing their characters. Like, they really went all out just to showcase their characters in this film. They did not lose a beat with just voicing their characters, and each of them just do such a great job of just really showing the personalities of their characters, whether it be Bowser and his, you know, his deeper heartbroken aspects, and his, you know, even though he is a villain, he also has a bit of that, you know, that aspect where he is falling in love and all that sort of stuff is definitely a very intriguing thing to see. Like, again, I got a lot of fun out of Jack Black playing Bowser. Like, he had his moments where it really, really worked in terms of just Jack Black's talents. Because again, he is a singer. We do get aspects of that, which is a big thing, which I was like, wow, they're really utilizing his talents into this film, which it was great to see. And of course, with Keegan-Michael Key, like the way that he's playing Toad, like you absolutely love Toad in this film. Like, there isn't a moment where not having Toad would have like taken away anything. Like, he was the comic relief in this film that was really necessary, again, to really bring up that energetic energy that we're getting out of this film, making it very upbeat, making it very positive. Again, it's really kid friendly, right? Like, we need that humor in a film like Super Mario Bros. Movie, right? You need that comedy aspect, and the character as Toad, like, he really brings out the humor of it. I believe even in this film, from what I've read, Keegan-Michael Key may have improvised a lot of the lines, which honestly you can tell, like, he was having a lot of fun. You can tell they were having a blast of voicing these characters. And at the end of the day, you can tell that they really pulled off by the end, because they really just, again, you can tell by the efforts from these voice actors that they just had a lot of fun and made sure that this is a movie that really, again, not is only just giving us a best redemption of Super Mario Bros. Movie, because we do have the original 1993 film that isn't as great. But doing it in a way that is really faithful to the games. Like, you can tell that they all really want to make sure that the character that we were embodying, fits with what we know and, remember of the Super Mario characters that we have seen throughout these decades. And I think at the end of the day, they remain very faithful. I think that when we get these voice work and the characters that we do see, it works on the end, doing so in a way that I don't think there's ever a single doubt or we feel like, okay, this actor, seems off as this character, or this actor didn't really embody the character. I don't think there was ever a moment where I had that criticism. So I think that at the end of the day, despite the early, notions about the casting, the voice casting that we do get, I think at the end of the day, it works out. I think that I don't think you can go anywhere better with the casting that we do get with this film. And I think that hopefully, again, we'll see all these guys return for like a sequel of all sorts. But the moments, right? Because I think the moments are really what really captures the big parts of what this film is about. It's about the moments, right? Like, if I'm gonna be rewatching the Super Mario Bros. Movies, like, I will really go jump back into some of the big moments, because again, this is a film that really dedicates itself to being very faithful to the games, whether it be the world building, the power-ups, the characters. They do so everything in a way that becomes a big aspect of what this movie is about. They don't really shy away from not showing the big aspects of what really made the game so beloved. And I think in this one, right, like, I think that if they were going to show all these references, I think that you need to have the animation to really complement it. And in this case, they do such a great job with the animations. I think that in the animations, they're so well done. Like, I think the more you watch them, the more you feel like you are watching the Super Mario games kind of being now changed into more movie aspect. And it really works very well for this. Because again, the more you're watching, the more immersed you're getting into Super Mario Bros. World. Like, you're feeling like as if you are now in this world. And they do such a great job of, replicating the animation that fits so well into the big screen. And again, it's not just that it is so well done. It's really thoughtfully, designed. But it's really colorful. Like, you really get the sense of, like, when you are playing the Super Mario games, you can tell that it's a very colorful game. Like, you see the meshes of green, you see the meshes of blues, reds. And then the same thing here. They really make sure that the colors really pop out. And it does such a great job of just, again, really showcasing the big parts of the references, the characters, the world building of all the sort of stuff that we do get out of this film. And again, I feel like because of that, it really gets this idea that, okay, this is what we do know about the Super Mario world. This is what we preconceived about it. And at the end of the day, like, the animations works in a way that we ourselves as audiences are loving it, because this is how we remember the world. This is how we remember the games. And they do such a really great job of just replicating all of that to just get the world building, the characters, the power-ups, everything like that. And I think that that's, again, you can't have the animation, like, you can't have a film without the animations succeeding in that big bit. And they do so in a really big way in this one. Again, I just love it. Like, I feel like watching the animations from the trailer was the one big thing that really got me excited about this film, and it really pays off. And I think that that's just not it, right? Like, I mean, the animations are great. The references we get are great. The Easter eggs are amazing to watch. Like, you're just, again, feeling the nostalgia of it all. But I also want to mention that this is a film that, again, really focuses on the dynamic of the characters, whether it be Mario and Luigi as brothers, or Peach and Super Mario becoming, allies, or the fact that we see a character like Toad who is bring out the comedic relief in what is now, their journey to going into, into this world, this kingdom, to try and figure out how they're gonna take down Bowser. And I think that in this case, like, you get the sense of what their motives are, you get the sense of who these characters are. Again, it really works really well into like setting up the characters that we do get. Like, for one thing, again, with Princess Peach, even though they do have this little, sort of, shades of like, okay, well, Princess Peach could be a possible love interest to Super Mario. Like, we get that sort of clue, that hint that that's going to happen. But the nice thing about it is that they don't make that as her only purpose, right? Like, in this film, they make it so that her sole purpose, or her main purpose, is that she is the princess of Mushroom Kingdom, that she wants to protect the kingdom. And that's what really makes her so important in this storyline. Again, one of the things I really love about this change is that she isn't a damsel in distress, she isn't a love interest, she is a big prominent character who can help save Mushroom Kingdom, and that becomes a big part of her character. And I really love that dynamic being set up throughout the film, that we do get the sense of, okay, Super Mario and Princess Peach could be, an item, but that's not really the big point. The big point is that they both need to work together to recruit anybody that they can to somehow take down Bowser and save Mushroom Kingdom. Since, like, again, you get the sense that she has a much bigger role, and I really love some of those changes, the dynamics that we do get, because again, I feel like with those changes, it makes a very refreshing storyline that deals a little bit from the games, but also in a way that, doesn't go into the cliches or the tropes of what we've seen before with the Super Mario Bros. Movie, some of the games that we've seen before. Said some of the positives about this film, right? I mean, overall, like, I'm gonna tell you right now, I had so much fun watching this film. I was so entertained. I was having a smile on my face watching this movie all the time, like throughout the whole 90-minute duration, just because, again, the references are there. It brought me back my memories of playing the Super Mario games, and I feel like it really does a great job of being faithful to the actual video games. But it doesn't mean that this whole movie is perfect. There is some flaws. Like, some really noticeable flaws. Like, I think the one that really sticks out is that the plot is very, very thin. There isn't really a plot in this film. Like, it's pretty obvious that they didn't really think too great about how to set up the actual storyline, how to set up the overarching plot. And like, I mean, it's great that we do have the references. It's great that they have the world building. It's great that they have this immersive world, but they don't take the time to really set up the plot, which is where it becomes very absent and becomes pretty noticeable that once they don't have the plot, you can start seeing the flaws throughout this film. Like, for one thing, I will say that as you get deeper and deeper into this film and get to some of the minutes of it, you can tell that this film was kind of struggling a little bit to kind of maintain its 90-minute runtime. Like, this is a very short film already. It's only 90 minutes. And there are parts of this film where, like, some of the moments felt like, okay, they were kind of dragging a little bit, or they just didn't know where they were kind of going because they didn't really have a plot in hand. Like, they were just really, like, you can tell some of the struggles of that without having a plot. And I think that becomes a bit of a problem with this film, where it's like, okay, well, yeah, the world building is great. Yeah, the references are great. Yeah, I love that we get to see the power-ups. Yeah, we get to see sort of the things that we remember from the games. But once you don't have that story, you can see the struggle of it. You can see how it's, kind of trying to juggle through with having no plot. And because of that, it does become a bit more problematic. It becomes very noticeable that this becomes a big, issue for the film, that it takes away that what could have been a very, not just from a very good film or fun film, but to become a very great adaptation of a video game franchise. And I think that that's where this is a film that really makes that mistake of not setting up a plot. I mean, aside the fact that this film doesn't have the depth that I would have wanted to see, and it becomes a bit generic here and there with this, with the plot, because again, there isn't really a plot. This is a film that does struggle to maintain its runtime. Aside from any of those issues, I will still say that I enjoyed this film. Like, I was having a lot of fun. I was enjoying some of the things that we were seeing on the big screen. The animations are great. The characters are great. The voice work from the actors are very awesome to see. And not just that, I mean, again, just the fact that you are seeing a Super Mario Bros. Film on the big screen and just reminiscing everything about your childhood is kind of the biggest factor of it all. Like, you get that nostalgic factor, and doing so in a way that we're in this film, they make sure that they pull all these references together to make sure that, like, just to communicate with us that this is what made the Super Mario Bros. Such a fun game, such a huge game of itself, why it became such a cultural phenomenon for 2-3 generations. And now here it is that we're seeing in the big screen, like, everything that we remember. Like, I mean, that's just something that's worth kind of considering, right? And this is a film, again, Like, even though there is no plot, it does make up some of the things with action. There are a lot of great action sequences that we see in this film. I mean, I would say probably the most of it comes from the, final act of this film, where they really pull the big punches in there. It's really action packed. They really go heavy on the references in those sequences, especially some of the power ups that we do get. Again, lots of fun moments. The more that you see them, the more just like, oh my god, I know this reference, I know that reference. Lots of fun moments. Again, it makes you smiling just more and more, seeing again the big things about the Super Mario games and just understanding the references. Like, again, at the end of the day, it's like something that I truly was just entertained by it all, just because of the spectacle of it all. And yeah, I wish the storyline could have been far better. But again, I think at the end of the day, I still enjoyed it. I loved watching this movie. And this is a film that I feel like if I'm going to be watching again, I'm going to be really looking back at some of the big moments that they did have, especially that finale. That was a really fun thing to, watch on the big screen. I think overall, at the end of the day, I was satisfied with the product that we do get out of this film, because it really does, again, a great job of really showing what is the heart and soul of this game. And that is the characters, the world building, the, animation, all of it, right? I think without all those moments, it probably wouldn't have been a great Super Mario film as most of us would, compliment it to be. And honestly, yeah, I love the fan service. The fan service is big, right? I mean, as we know, fan services can be iffy, whether it be, the Marvel universe, the Star Wars universe, it could be a big mixed bag for any sort of franchise. But I think for this one, it works fine, because again, it just shows, again, the love, the beauty of what is Super Mario games, and doing so in a way that they're showing the big screen. Again, I love the dedication. I love the idea of it all. And again, they do such a well done job of just doing that as the center of it all, that at the end of the day, we're all enjoying it. We're all reminiscing about the Super Mario games. And I think that it works out where it satisfies all of us. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. And I think one thing I do have to say is that I saw this movie thinking that, I was going to be watching it with a whole bunch of families, and I was going to be the one person just, as a solo, group going in to go see this film. But at the end of the day, when I went to go see this, I was really surprised how many people were adults. There were adults my age watching this film. I think there was a couple of families, but there weren't as many as would have expected it to be. It was basically filled with adults who basically probably remember recalling playing this game when they were younger. And honestly, that really made up for what was a really entertaining, great theater experience for me, as in terms of watching Super Mario Bros. Movie. Because honestly, just to see a theater filled with so many adults who were also reminiscing and really having this nostalgia of watching the Super Mario games and now seeing on the big screen, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It makes the whole theater experience so much fun. I think that added up to kind of my whole experience of itself. And again, adding to this entertainment value for me watching this film. So, and again, a lot of people were laughing. A lot of people were having a blast out of it. A lot of people were clapping. I've never seen a theater clapping this much, in a while, honestly. Yeah, a lot of people were really excited about this film. Just to see that, again, I'm not the only person feeling that essence of nostalgia. I absolutely had a blast watching this film. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say about it. It's not the most perfect film. It's not the most perfect video game to film adaptation I've seen. I wish they could have really just added a little bit more into the substance of its plot. Maybe that would have fixed up a lot of things that I was noticing were some issues in this film. But even then, they really make up for a lot of it with the technicalities of the animation, the visuals, the characters, the voice work. They all really make up for a lot of the flaws that we do see. Again, it makes it so much more entertaining just because of those aspects, and I will forgive the fact that it doesn't have a plot. But yeah, that's all I would say about the Super Mario Bros. Movie. I had a lot of fun watching it. Once it gets up on, demand or streaming, I'm probably gonna rewatch a lot of the big scenes from the film, and I can't wait to see a sequel, because I think that after having seen that post-credit scene at the end, it makes me super excited to see more of it. I would love to see them expand sort of the Super Mario Bros. Film, not just in the games, but now in the movies, right? Now they can make a whole franchise out of it, and I totally would support it. As long as they can, fix up their plot situation in the next film. Holy cow, I can't wait to see how they're going to take this series to a whole new level. And I can't wait to see what of the other characters are going to see, because they do kind of imply something at the post-credit scene. And it just makes me super excited just to see how they're going to set up the rest of the films moving forward, especially with the sequels. Like, again, I don't think they've confirmed any sequels, but they're kind of implying it. But I can't wait to see them. Like, I'm super excited to see the Super Mario Bros. World in the movie format. Oh man, like I cannot say anymore how entertained I was watching this film. I was super satisfied with it. I loved it. If I have to give like a rating, I'll probably give it like maybe a 3.5 out of 5. Again, because some of the points we docked because of the plot situation, but aside from that, a blast. I had a lot of fun with it. It's not as bad as, a lot of the critics are saying. It's not as mediocre as some of the critics are saying, but again, like, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So that's all I would say about the Super Mario Bros. Movie. So what are your thoughts? Have you seen it? Have you not seen it? What do you think about the film overall? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? What are some things that you would say were kind of the problems? Like, do you agree with the whole plot situation? The fact that, it doesn't really have a plot. Was that something that was, concerning, or you didn't really care about it, and what you really cared about was the references and the world building that was Super Mario Bros. And the fact that they really faithfully done it in a way that, makes us all remember the good old days of playing Super Mario games in the past. If not, what are some things that you think that they could have done better? Let me know in the comments down below, and make sure to like and subscribe.